In the heart of a forgotten land, shrouded in darkness and legend, lay the cursed village of Ajuran, ruled by the most feared warlord of the era, Ajoku. Ajoku's reputation was one of brutality and mysticism. It was whispered that he had made a pact with ancient demons, trading his humanity for immortality. His army was legendary, warriors who never bled, never died, and fought with an inhuman ferocity. However, none knew the true horror that kept these warriors bound to Ajoku's will. Adoro, a young and ambitious warrior from a neighboring village, heard stories of Ajoku's might and the invincibility of his soldiers. Desperate to rise in fame and power, he defied the warnings of his elders, who spoke of strange deaths and whispers of malevolent spirits surrounding the warlord's fortress. Determined to join Ajoku's ranks, Adoro believed he could survive whatever trials awaited him. Power blinded him to the terror that awaited. When Adoro arrived at Ajuran, the village fell dead. The few villagers he saw appeared as hollow shells of people, their faces gaunt, eyes lifeless, and their movements sluggish as if they were shadows of their former selves. The land itself seemed to reject life, crops were wilted, the air was stale, and even the birds refused to sing. At the center stood Ajoku's fortress, a massive, grotesque structure made of black stone, covered in glowing blood-red runes that pulsed rhythmically, like a beating heart. The air around it was thick with the scent of decay. Adoro was taken in immediately, and Ajoku greeted him with a knowing smile. The warlord's eyes gleamed unnaturally, reflecting an inner darkness. His voice was deep and smooth, like a serpent's hiss, as he welcomed Adoro into his fold. The warriors under Ajoku's command seemed more like phantoms than men, silent, emotionless, their faces expressionless, and their bodies unnaturally still when they weren't moving. Adoro soon discovered that the training was beyond brutal. It wasn't just physical strength that Ajoku demanded but absolute obedience to his will. The trials were designed to break not only the body but the mind. Each night, after training, the recruits were required to kneel before a massive, blood-red bloodstone, set deep within the fortress. The stone pulsed with an eerie glow, and every time Adoro knelt before it, he felt as though something was watching him, something far older and darker than he could comprehend. As Adoro fought to prove his worth, strange things began to happen. The first night, he dreamt of a battlefield, but it wasn't the usual scenes of glory he had imagined. Instead, he stood on a field soaked in blood, surrounded by the bodies of fallen warriors. Shadowy figures hovered over the dead, their hollow eyes fixed on him. They whispered his name, urging him to flee before it was too late. He awoke in a cold sweat, but the nightmare stayed with him. The dreams grew worse each night. The shadowy figures became clearer. They were the spirits of Ajoku's warriors, the ones who had undergone the final ritual, bound to the bloodstone for eternity. They warned Adoro that Ajoku's power came not from skill or strength, but from dark magic, magic that trapped the souls of his warriors in the bloodstone, enslaving them in death. The blood spilled on the battlefield was not just the price of victory, but the fuel that sustained Ajoku's curse. Soon, the lines between dreams and reality began to blur. Adoro saw the spirits even when he was awake, lurking in the shadows of the fortress, their faces twisted in agony. At night, he heard their whispers grow louder, accusing him of cowardice for staying, for allowing the curse to continue. The other warriors did not seem to notice. Many of them had already lost their humanity, their eyes dark and hollow, their minds consumed by Ajoku's magic. The final test came on a moonless night. Ajoku summoned Adoro and the remaining warriors to the sacred ritual grounds deep within the cursed forest. In the center of the clearing stood the bloodstone, its glow brighter and more malevolent than ever. Ajoku's voice boomed across the forest as he explained that to gain true power, Adoro must make a sacrifice, a blood sacrifice. His best friend, Komi, stood at his side, trembling. Adoro was to kill Komi and bathe in his blood to complete the ritual. Komi's eyes were wide with terror, but he did not plead for his life. He had seen what the other warriors had become, mindless servants of Ajoku, their souls trapped within the bloodstone. End it, please, before I become one of them, Komi whispered, tears streaming down his face. Adoro, torn between his ambition and his humanity, hesitated. The weight of the sword in his hand felt like lead. Ajoku's eyes burned with demonic fire as he commanded Adoro to finish the ritual. The air crackled with dark energy, and the ground beneath them seemed to pulse in rhythm with the bloodstone. In that moment, Adoro realized the truth: the bloodstone was the source of Ajoku's immortality. Every warrior who completed the ritual became part of the stone, their souls trapped for eternity, feeding Ajoku's power. The warlord was no longer human, he was a vessel for the countless souls he had consumed, a demon in the guise of a man. But Adoro was different. He still had a choice. Instead of killing Komi, Adoro turned his sword on Ajoku, aiming to end the warlord's reign of terror. But Ajoku was faster. With a flick of his hand, the warlord summoned the souls trapped within the bloodstone, and they swarmed Adoro, their ghostly hands cold as death. They whispered in his ears, telling him to give in, to surrender to the power. Adoro fought with everything he had, his body trembling under the weight of the spirits pressing down on him. He knew that he could not defeat Ajoku with brute strength alone. His only chance was to destroy the bloodstone and break the curse. With a roar of defiance, Adoro turned and lunged at the bloodstone. Ajoku screamed in fury, his voice inhuman, as the sword struck the stone, sending a shockwave of dark energy through the clearing. The ground shook, and the spirits screamed as they were pulled from their prison. Ajoku's body twisted and contorted, his demonic form unraveling as the souls he had consumed were freed. But breaking the curse came at a cost. The bloodstone shattered, and the village of Ajuran began to collapse, swallowed by the earth itself. Adoro barely escaped the destruction, the screams of the trapped souls fading into the night as the ground sealed the cursed village forever. When Adoro returned to his village, he was hailed as a hero, but the truth of what he had witnessed haunted him. The faces of the warriors, the whispers of the dead, and the blood-soaked fields followed him wherever he went.